In today's episode, I'd like to share with you my personal experience. I'm feeling a bit tensed because this is a personal story and I'm feeling like I'm being vulnerable. But I want to share this with you guys so that we can all, I'm actually pinching my hands here and I'm sweating. I want to share this with you guys so that we can learn a lesson or two from my experience. I'm hoping that you will not go through the same experience that I had gone through, because then it will beat logic. There was really no need for me to have lost the amount of money that I lost if you are also going to lose this same money in the same manner after I have shared this experience. And you can feel free to share out this video. I don't mind. Feel free to share it out with your friends. Feel free to share it out with your family, with the hope that somebody somewhere will pick a lesson from this and we will save somebody from losing their money. At the same time, please also share your experiences with me in the comment section. Have you ever lost money in the same manner that I lost these funds? Now, back in 2010, I was this young girl, of course, wanting better for myself. I got approached by my cousin, one of my cousins whom I love so much to date. I still love her. She is an ECD teacher, or she was an ECD teacher, and I was a banker. Not a banker per se, but I was an accountant. I had access to banking facilities. So she told me, she asked if we can start a business, if we can start an ECD school, and she'll be running the school, because she had experience in running the school. And I had access to money, to capital. So my contribution to the business was supposed to be the seed capital. Her contribution to the business was supposed to be management expertise and labor. So I went ahead, I approached one of the banks, Equity Bank. I was given financing. I was given a personal loan of 500,000 shillings, that is $500,000, which we then put in the business. We were supposed to be using this money to acquire furniture, to buy furniture, to pay rent the first 6 months during the startup, to pay teachers, employees the first few months, for marketing, and so on. You know the expense, of course, feeding the students. You know the expenses that comes with running a school. So after acquiring the money, I'm going to be as raw as possible. After receiving the money I handed over my ATM card. I handed over my ATM cards because then I didn't want to be going to the bank to withdrawing money anytime, so that she can have easy access to the funds. After all, she was the one who was doing the purchases and buying, and she was the one who was doing the actual running of the school. So that we used my personal account as the school account at the onset. To run a school, you need to be licensed. You need to be having a license. Of course, to run a business, you need the city council to license you. So we went to Nairobi City Council, and to seek their licenses. The school was in Syokimau, but we went to Nairobi County Council for licensing. We lived in Nairobi, so we thought, of course, the boundaries, we did not quite understand the boundaries. And of course, you know how government offices worked. We spent some money there, and we got some officers who came. Now, I actually doubt if they were city council employees or Nairobi County employees. I can't even remember their names or their faces. But we got some guys from there, city council, whom we came with to the site, Syokimau, to inspect the place and see whether we could be licensed to run a school there. Of course, we spent some money, almost 50,000 shillings in that endeavor. After they assessed the place, they told us that the place is in a different county, it's not in Nairobi County, so they cannot give us licenses. It's not within their jurisdiction. That is information that they knew. The moment we mentioned this is where the school is located, they certainly knew it's not within Nairobi County, it's not within their jurisdiction. So we went ahead and got licensing from the right place. Now, a few months in, this place was in a residential area. A few months in, the management of that estate told us that the residents have declined to have a school within the estate. And so we had to move. So we crossed the road to the other side, and we got a place that was ready to host our school. The challenge is that this place that we got was inside. It was interior kabisa, and there was no concentration of houses. It was not overpopulated or well populated then. Now, when you're running a school, especially an ECD, your customers will be children. So when you set up a school in a place which is not densely populated or where the population is scattered, it means that students would have to be waking up quite early to get to your school. It also means that you will need school transport. Remember, we only had 500,000 shillings, and 50 is already gone. So how are we going to provide the transport? Anyways, now fast forward, we set up the school there. We didn't get students. We did get some students, but not enough to break even, not enough to even pay rent for that house. So what happened is that I had to continue out of my salary. I had to continue paying rent to sustain the school. Now, unfortunately, my then employer gave me a transfer, and I had to move to a different town. I moved to Mombasa, and the school is in Nairobi. So that means that I couldn't be going to school as frequently as I could have or I would have wanted to. And I had to rely on my cousin who was running the school. I know she did her best. With the knowledge that she had, I know she did her best. Now, this school did not pick up. At some point, of course, I got tired of paying rent, and I realized that actually it's a friend who told me that, Berlin, this school is likely not going to pick up. You might pay rent forever. You need to set a timeline on which you're going to count your losses and agree that you have lost money and stop losing more money chasing lost money. That is critical information. So I communicated to my cousin. I told her I'm not unable to continue paying rent for the school. It's been this year of operations. I have already spent this much. Actually, the school needs to be paying my loan back, not me paying loan. But status quo, I'm paying the loan and I'm also paying the rent. You need to start paying the loan. Help me service that loan. And in some instances, I received some money. Sometimes I think I received 5K. I can't remember. In other instances, I received 500 shillings. But they were erratic. So what am I saying? I'm saying that the money, pesa, ili kunywa maji. Now, why am I sharing this story with you? I'm not sharing this to badmouth my cousin. I told you I love her. We still talk to date. We are still the best of friends. We are still cousins. I'm sharing this so that you can pick a lesson from it. Now, where did I go wrong? Why did I lose money in that business venture? Was I conned? No, I was not conned. Why did I lose money? Number one, I entrusted my cousin, who is not an administrator, to run everything with the school. I took money and gave an inexperienced person. She was a teacher, an ECD teacher. A teacher might not necessarily be an administrator. A teacher might not necessarily be a marketer. And the business needed marketing. The business needed administration. Okay? So I add in taking money and giving an unskilled person to manage my money. Okay? So I can't hold it against her because I knew she was a teacher. What I forgot is that she's not a marketer. She might not have been able to market the school. What I forgot is that she's not an administrator. She might not have known how to manage a school to profitability. However, she still remains an excellent teacher, by the way. She is a teacher and she still remains an excellent teacher. Maybe years down the line, 25 years later, she has learned administration skills, but back then, I can't hold it against her. I made a mistake in lending her money, in handing over money to someone who is not an administrator to use my money, who is not an administrator to admin a school, okay? The second mistake that I did, this was supposed to be a joint venture. When you're doing a joint venture with someone, it means that you are going to share the profits, so you're also supposed to be sharing the losses. But what loss was there for her to share if she didn't have any capital contribution? What am I saying? If you're starting a business with someone, even if you're financing a business, there should be a share contribution. There should be a contribution of that capital so that there is some instinctive value to it. Sometimes I think, or I used to think, that had I insisted that we both contribute towards this venture financially, we both raise the seed capital, there would have been more effort to sustain the school and maybe manage the school better. I'm not saying that it was mismanaged, but maybe go an extra mile to manage the school and make this school turn around, because we both have something to lose. I don't know if that is coming out clear. Always make sure that if you're starting a business with someone, even if you're financing somebody, always make sure that they have a contribution, financial contribution. If it's a property you guys are building, let her contribute that land. Whatever business you're setting up, for as long as it is a joint business that is going to benefit more than one person, those people, the owners of that business, need to have their contribution, financial contribution in that business. You can later agree on how you're going to share on the profits, but everybody needs to have a financial contribution in the seed capital of that business. Okay, so that everybody has an intrinsic value attached to that business. Another mistake that I made, or that we need to learn from that, is I took up loan, a credit facility, as seed capital to start a business. Remember, the moment you take a loan to start a business, I did not only borrow 500,000. I borrowed 500,000 plus the interest. Remember, I was paying it with interest. Okay? So I took up a loan of 500,000 and I was to pay 500,000 plus interest. So my contribution in that is not just 500,000, but it is 500 plus the interest. So whenever you want to borrow, whenever you want to start a business, do not finance it 100% with credit, with a bank loan. Utaumia. You will pay through your nose. Remember, when you're starting a business, the business needs some time to stabilize and break even. So during this time that the business is stabilizing and breaking even, you'll still be servicing the loan with interest. Where will you get this money to service that loan? From your pockets. So avoid borrowing money to start a new business. If you have to borrow money, you must be having your contribution in that seed capital. Don't borrow 100%. You will pay through your nose. What happens if the business does not pick up? Like in the case of our school that dropped, collapsed. I can't even remember how many months later. It didn't pick up, but we still had to pay the loan that I borrowed. I still had rather to pay the loan that I borrowed. Another lesson that I picked from that business is that I relied on word of mouth. I was told I've been a teacher. I know how to run a school. For as long as they're teaching well, the students will come, and you only need this number of students for the school to break even, and getting this number of students is not difficult. We did not draw down a business plan. So we didn't know, how are we going to get these students? What meals are we going to offer these students? What is it going to cost? What school fees, what amount of school fees are we going to charge these students? And how many students do we need to break even? What rent? What is going to be our expenses? How many teachers do we need? What furnitures can we afford? What is the business future like? We didn't draw a business plan at all. Before you start a business, make sure that you have a business plan. In your business plan, it needs to state the journey of that business. I'll do another video about business plans. But in that business plan, you need to state the journey of that business right from point zero, starting point, how it's going to be financed, the licenses, the licensing. When is it going to open? Okay, the location. Why are you choosing this location and not the other location? What is your expected market? What is your clientele like, your client base? What is your target market rather? And where are you going to get this target market to come to your business? Okay, we did not draw a business plan. Whenever you start a business, you're starting a business, always make sure that you have a well-detailed business plan. Another lesson that I pick from that is that, remember I told you that after setting up the school, it did not break even, it did not pick up, it could not pay it could not pay arrears. I mean, it could not pay rent for the location, for the business premise. So I had to still dig into my pocket and pay rent until somebody told me, hey, Berlin, you are using good money to safeguard bad money. At what point are you going to count your losses? So when you start a business, of course, it might take some time for this business to break even. Sometimes it might run into losses for months, or even for years, or even for entirety. Of course, it cannot turn into losses for entirety, but until the business collapse. To what extent are you going to continue pumping money into this business? Do you have a time plan? Or are you going to continue feeding a dead horse, hoping that this dead might resurrect back into life? You know, when you feed a dead cow, you are losing money. Of course, hakuna vile hiyo ng'ombe itaamka. Okay? So what I was doing is that I was feeding a dead cow. I was feeding a dead horse, hoping that it was going to bounce back into, it was going to break even and bounce back into profitability and eventually pay back the loan that I took from the bank. In the meantime, I was paying this loan from my pocket plus interest, and I was also paying the rent. I mean, until I had to count my losses and say, hey, I cannot continue pumping more money into the business when it's not making any money. Okay? So how much deeper would you be going into your pocket to pump in money into a specific venture? To what extent do you have a stop loss? To what extent can you continue trying to resuscitate a dead business? Something else that I learned from my experience, or that you can pick from my experience, is that in business, trust is not a currency. Yes, we need trust, but let me say relationship. Not relationship, how should I say? You need to be trustworthy in your business, but there should be written documentation. The business plan is a written documentation. Okay? You cannot, word of mouth. Sorry, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Word of mouth is not a measure of currency in business transactions. Because you have been told, Berlin, I am good in this, I am good in that. Within this duration of time, I'll be able to pay back that loan. Within this duration of time, we'll have bought our bus, our school bus. Within this duration of time, we'll have had our we'll have had our grade 1, we'll have had our grade 2, class 2, class 3, what have you. The school will have expanded, we'll be having this number of students. Word of mouth is not a currency in business. Is not a currency in business. And last but not least, doing business with friends and family can be a little bit tricky. If we had this venture with, if I was to enter into this business with someone who is not family, I'm guaranteed that I will not have given 100% capital. I am guaranteed that I will not have entrusted with all the finances. I'm sure I would have insisted that we do a capital contribution, because of course there are other ventures that I ventured into with other people and family, and we had capital contribution. I would not have lost all that money. Remember, the money that I have lost is not 500,000 alone. It's 500,000 plus interest paid to the bank. You know how much banks charge interest. It was a prolonged loan, and the additional money that I used to pay rent. Now, I'm one person that that always wants to heal pretty fast and leave bygones to be bygones. That's why I don't have, it's 25 years ago, I don't have information of the actual amount that was lost, I paid in interest. I don't have information of how much more I paid in rent, or the number of, or the duration that I had to pay rent, extra rent. I also don't have information of how much exactly I received from the school, but I can guarantee you it did not get to 50,000 shillings. Maybe, I think I didn't even receive 30K from that school. And it was money that was paid over a spread of months. Like in 1 month, I'll get maybe 500 shillings, another month 1,000, and so on and so forth. It didn't get to 30K. Kama ilifika 20K, ni bahati. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Of course, why am I sharing this with you? I'm sharing this so that you can learn from my experience, and to let you know that even as I sit here and I do videos on financial literacy, I am not perfect. You might have made certain mistakes in your financial journey or in your life that should not tie you down and put you in a forever wash state, or should make you curse constantly, but that should be a learning lesson. At the same time, we also need to learn from other people. You do not have to experience what I experienced for you to learn. Feel free to learn from other people's mistake. I learn from other people as well. I am on social media. When people share their stories, I learn. Some of these instances, when people share their stories, I pick learning lessons from those stories. In fact, some of the videos that I've done here, some of the videos that I've learned here are experiences of other people. In fact, some of the videos that I've shared here are experience. You need to learn from those experiences. Don't beat yourself. Don't remain in that hole, in that financial dip that you entered into. Bounce back. Once you have fallen down, the only other option there is to come back up. Okay? So that is, it's hard sharing this story. It's a story that I have been wanting to share with you. I hope I'll not pull out this video. It's a story that I've been wanting to share with you for such a long time. And I hope that you will learn from this video, from my experience. And as you learn from my experience, please be kind enough to share with me your experiences as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for staying around, and let's meet on the next video.